Okay, let's take a look at these hi-hats and overheads and see what they need and what we can do to save them. All right, we'll hit start and listen a little bit here.
2, 3, 4.
Okay, the very first thing is the kick and the snare. That and it could be 2, 3, 400 hertz. I don't know, something like that. Now I always bus my overheads and hi-hat mic to what I call the pretty bus. It makes life a lot easier for me to think of these. They'll never get compressed that way, or at least very little compression. And so I can EQ these all with one equalizer. I highly recommend you guys explore this particular option because I find it absolutely essential. All right, we're going to put this EQ on and toss up. I'm using UAD Cambridge here, and mostly because I like the filters options on it. UAD Cambridge has a whole bunch of, really steep filters. Let me show you. Like, we can do something more like that, or like that, or like that, really steep. And that really I find useful for surgery type things. It's not perfect. I don't know if anything about this thing sounds amazing. It's a pain in the butt if you overlap your EQ settings. Like the yellow one will only go down to 100 and will only go up to whatever that is, 6K. And that's a pain in the butt sometimes when you get goofed. Same thing with the green one. Green one will go up to whatever, but only down to there. So there's a few reasons I hate this EQ, and I don't think there's, like I said, anything magical about it. I could use the stock Cubase EQ or anything like that, but this one's always handy, and mainly because of that filter, like I said. And I'm fast with it, which I like the most. So anyway, with a high-pass filter, we're going to start at, say, 12 decibels an octave. I know that there's a lot of bad stuff in there, and so for too smooth, like, say, a 6 decibels an octave, so that's just junk that's going to stay in there. And for some tracks, you just kind of want to reduce the low-end stuff a little bit. Like, it's okay to leave a little bit of 50 in there. That's if something sounds good and you just want to kind of smooth it out in the low, or take a little low end out. Well, this, we might want to be a lot more aggressive. I don't know. But I'm going to start with 12 just because that's a good ballpark number. And we're just going to listen. Let's play around.
2, 3, 4.
And just so you guys know, we will not be going that far. I wanted to go to the extreme just to see what happened. And just to see, because I know cymbals go down to like 300 and 400 hertz. A lot of people forget that. When you think of when a cymbal crashes, go, even when you make the sound with your mouth, you don't go like, you go, there's a quality to them. And I'm afraid there will be some overlap in terms of we will be killing the bottoms of these cymbals a little bit for the sake of getting a massive amount of crap from the snare and kick out of them. So looks like we're going to have to approach these overheads as cymbal mics, which is not something I normally do. Normally I like my overheads to be kind of capture the whole kit and kind of create a 3D vibe thing where you can kind of imagine the drum kit in front of you and all this crap, with the toms are perfectly panned and all this business. But I don't get that when I hear this. Not even close. So we're going to forget that idea and immediately switch to desperate mode, which is these are now cymbal mics, which is actually a hair liberating when we have to start fixing his internal balance problems. He's going to want that ride to jump out in spots, and he's going to wonder why his hi-hat is so damn well. Like, why'd you do that to my drumming? And that's just because he's not drummed before in a studio situation like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and roll off some of that low end. Okay, so right there we've mostly solved some of the problems with the lowest octave problem in the snare, which is probably around 100 or so. But now the snare sounds boxy. Take a listen. It's very, I'm trying to think of the right words. It doesn't sound good yet. And so that we don't want anything bad in these tracks. And so I'm going to keep on going. Okay, and let's look at our first tom fill here because that's also a good clue as to where we are and where we need to go with them. And so they're just a little bit backwards. We want the kind of the low end and the stick hit the attack, like the 10K, 5K attack on the hitting the stick hitting the tom. We have none of that in there at all, which is, again, so the toms are a great clue because, again, we don't want to introduce anything bad with these overheads. And if we have to go really, really high on this high pass filter, then so be it. Okay, I'm going to stop right there for now. Like I said, 12 decibels an octave, and looks like we're at 430 hertz. We may go higher. I don't love the way the snare or tom sound right here, but what I am hearing is they kind of got that obnoxious, kind of a 1K, pop, 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 or maybe hair lower, pop, 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 whatever. There's something to them that says I'm in here, and that may be a huge help for getting these things to cut through later. And if we don't like how it blends, we can always come back to our this high pass filter and go much higher so that there's no junk added. But let's listen again. Okay, we'll start with that. Now, for now, I guess we've got the overheads cleaned up, and so we can kind of move on to whatever the hell's next. Here we go.